Hi, this is Salma Zadora, and welcome to this webinar. Today, our guest is Alexandra Jamieson, who is one of my favorite guests and author of Women, Food, and Desire. And I'm so happy whenever I start having other, female leaders speaking up about the importance around sex and sexuality. I feel like I've been banging a drum alone for a long time. And, talk about shame. I used to always be, have a little like jealousy. I'd be like, gosh, I wish that my message was something simple like, just getting in shape or just do yoga. And I was like, but I know that I'm here to talk about dropping shame and owning your sexual, power. So I'm so excited whenever I've got cohorts. So thanks, Alex.
Oh, so glad to be here.
And just on that topic really quick, I wanted to ask, have you gotten a lot of judgments or you feel kind of like blowback or shaming for bringing the topic of sex into the topic of food? Because I feel like we're allowed to women can talk about food and diet and our bodies like all day long till we're blue in the face. But as soon as you bring sex into it, suddenly everyone's like, oh, shh, what's the big secret?
Yeah, I've been talking not super explicitly, but I've been talking about how I believe that sexual health, pleasure, getting comfortable with our sexual desires is an underlying necessity for true health and vitality and weight loss and healing. And I haven't heard any particular blowback from my tribe, my online folks, my listeners. I've only heard positive responses so far, which is great. Like
Fantastic.
Women are like so excited. My book, Women, Food, and Desire hit #1 on Amazon in popular psychology and sexuality as well as health. And I think that bodes really well for this discussion because women are starting to see, oh, it's not just about the food. It's not just about what I'm eating. There's so much more going on in this body.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm so glad that you aren't getting any shaming, and that I think the world is getting more and more open and ready to be talking about.
Doesn't make it easier to talk about. I have to admit, it's still hard to I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, my dad is still alive. When my book came out, I was like, Dad, really just skip chapter 8. He was like, great. Thank you for telling me. There's just things I don't want him to know and he doesn't want to know.
Right.
And that's okay.
Right. No, it's totally fine.
For the rest of you, however, skip directly to chapter 8.
Go right to chapter 8. And I'm a mom. You're talking about, with your dad, and as a mom, that's one of the challenges, or my shame. Like you talk about like this internal, maybe even when other people aren't giving us our time, we think they are in our heads. And I know I've had a real struggle with that. Is like, what can I talk about as a woman, that won't be so embarrassing to my son. And thank God now he's 22 years old and he's just like, you know what, you're going to do what you're going to do. He's like, I've accepted you and you're going to do what you're going to do. So it's fine. But
what I have noticed in the last year that I've been talking about my own journey back to health, I just see this. There's point A and there's point B, and how you get from, dis-ease and ill health to health kind of looks like this rather than a straight line.
Yeah.
And my journey was really about, drastically changing my diet again and balancing my hormones and getting comfortable with what my body was now asking me at 35.
Right.
What I ate and how I was living at 25 wasn't working for me anymore.
Yes.
And I think that's something we all experience. We age, our bodies change, our lifestyles go in a different direction. And I went from, very happily vegan for over a decade and married in a monogamous relationship to my hormones were tanking. My marriage was destroyed. I hadn't had sex in over a year. And I wasn't even interested. It wasn't even on my radar because of the stress of having a little, a 2-year-old and going through a divorce. And it was a dietary change that, adding meat back into my diet, which that was like probably the worst shaming experience I've ever been through.
Right.
Just the internet maelstrom that happened around that. But it allowed, like, getting back into my body and like, oh, my iron levels are going up, my hormone levels are evening out again. That allowed me to get in touch with, oh, I have a body, and it used to like sex. I used to enjoy that. Maybe I should do something. Like, I literally found my vibrator like with cobwebs on it in the back of the drawer. And when I was starting to think about maybe I could date, like, I think that would be good for me to get out of the house and experience some pleasure and to come alive again.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so that, when I talk about ending slut shaming and helping women connect to their healthy sexuality. And one of the key points I always bring up is, like, we've got to own our vaginas. We need to have a happy vagina. So, and part of that is being comfortable with self-pleasure and starting to learn to, like you said, even to make it a priority, because you get busy being a mom, or you go through traumatic experience, a breakup, a divorce, you kind of freeze up around that negative experience, and sex becomes something on the back burner.
Well, also, I really haven't talked about this very much, but I know I was in a marriage where my husband proved to not be trustworthy. And I thought it was my fault. When I found out about the affair, I made it about me. Right. And these mama bear claws that you grow over time that you're really good at using to protect other people in your life, we turn it inward. And that shame that we feel, we rip ourselves to shreds. It's like, injustice that we see in the world, we turn it inward, and that becomes shame. And it took a couple of years for me to get angry at the appropriate person and reclaim this body. And, you're saying we got to own our vaginas. Absolutely. We have to own our health, our entire being. And that's what I do, I've been doing with food and my clients for a long time. It's like learning how you feel with food. How do different foods help you show up in the world? Well, part of that is learning how your body works. It's not just about like trying vegan and then trying paleo. It's, trying everything, trying the jade egg that you talk about, showing up and having over 100 first dates in 18 months like I did, and seeing how different people feel to you.
Right.
And learning to trust what your body says.
And take chances. I think it's take chances to own your vagina. Part of that, is like breaking down a lot of the taboo and the discomfort, and like you were saying, for masturbation month, that's about giving yourself self-pleasure owning that, own your vagina around self-pleasure and masturbation, which doing a program like the Jade A Kegel Fitness Program is amazing. Every woman who owns a vagina needs to know how to use her vagina. so that Jade A program for the masturbation is important. And not even thinking of it as masturbation. How about just thinking of it as like the fitness of your vagina and owning your vagina? And then getting out and dating.
I love that perspective. That, working out your vaginal muscles is so important, not just now so that you can really learn and develop orgasm in your body, but also help you with this ever important topic that my mom suffered from urinary incontinence. And it was such a pain for her, but she couldn't figure out how to fix it. And I don't know that she ever asked anybody I don't know that she ever went to anybody. I wish she had known about the Jade Egg in your program. I mean, it would have given her so much more freedom, so much more confidence. Yeah. And that's what we all want. We want to feel good in our bodies, feel confident in our bodies. And what if we could do those things, just by having more pleasure in our life?
Yeah, and owning it.
Yeah, it's kind of a revolutionary concept.
Well, I think so many women are ashamed to have pleasure. Anyway, part of owning your vagina is just getting over the shame that you've been given around experiencing pleasure as a woman.
Yeah.
But you're talking about getting out there and starting to date after a breakup, or, sometimes, it's good to even like take a break. So the opposite can be, taking a break from sex when it isn't as satisfying, or if you find that you're having sex with partners and you aren't feeling as valued, then it's really important to, I would say, like, you might need to have a vagina exorcism. You got to get all the get the ghosts of the penis past out of your vagina. You might need to wave some sage up in your vagina.
Not literally.
Not literally.
Maybe over top of it. Gently.
Be like, I release the ghosts of all the penises past.
Well, this is perfect because, I teach all these online cleanses. I do 3 or 4 of these big online cleanses a year. And it's basically a gentle food-based detox to help us get clear, get clarity, heal our guts, balance our hormones, and get in touch with what our bodies are really asking us for. Mm-hmm. What really makes you come alive? And how can we put a positive spin on this experience of being a woman in a body? And how you need to do that is through community, through the right community that's going to support whatever shows up. So I'm sure you have a ton of clients who come to you and they're like, I can't talk to anybody else about this. Like my friends, my family, I don't know how to talk to them about this. Nobody has ever talked with me about masturbation or whatever. Well, luckily we have the internet, and that you can find people who are curious about the same topics. We've got to come together. We can't do this by ourselves. We got to come together as seekers and support each other in finding out whatever it is that you're going to find out about yourself.
Yeah, I have. I created an online community just for that, and I have the Jade A Program actually comes in an online community, so you get your own password login. It's a totally safe place that as you do this practice and start to discover things, you're with other women, you can ask me questions, them questions, and I think that that's so important, is that we start to make this change and shift that needs to happen in the world around women feeling, so embarrassed around their sexuality.
Yeah, absolutely. And, when it comes down to it, this whole conversation, this whole book, Women, Food, and Desire, it's about our relationship with our bodies and food and sex, and how those are just the foundation of our life. Mm-hmm. And we go through so much of our life hating all 3 of them or being uncomfortable with all 3 of them, when I believe they're 3 of the coolest things about being a human. And what if we could just really enjoy food and pleasure and our bodies? It would be remarkable.
Yeah, I think I've heard you say we could, if we could harness all the power that we put into obsessing over food and our diet and our bodies, and reharness that into actually, something positive, we could definitely change what we could send a few rocket ships around the world a few times.
I really do. And I think perhaps that might be one of the reasons why, even though we're a little bit more than 50% of the population, that patriarchal structures have been trying to tamp female energy down for so long. And whether that's different religions, different governments, they're usually one and the same, that women are really powerful. And there is an underlying knowing and fear of that.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I love men. I love the sensitive new age men in my life. I love the dudes in my life. I love the masculine guys in my life. They're incredible, and they have to be a part of this revolutionary shift towards empowering female pleasure. But I do think that there is kind of this unspoken fear of what we're capable of.
Yeah, if we actually tapped into it. And because, I talk a lot about your sexual power as a woman is located in ... your vagina. Oh, that's shocking. Your power and your sexual power as a woman are located in your vagina. And so doing like the Jade A practice and learning how to empower that, and it's a whole sequence of certain way of breathing, squeezing those muscles. And when you do that, it starts to light up all of your other developmental centers or chakras. Mm-hmm. So I'm working with, women all the time who maybe really lack confidence, or they feel like, they can't get any traction in a certain goal or dream in their life. They're working a job that they hate, or they're tired, and that really being able to, do that jade egg practice and juice up that area will send that rocket fuel to whichever area that in their life that needs that power. Or then just last night I was talking to a very successful woman, and for her issue, it isn't that she can't, make money or be successful, but she's trying to get pregnant now. And so for her, that's an issue of needing to learn how to relax and be able to let go of a goal. She said, so every time she's having sex with her man, instead of just enjoying the sex, in the back of her mind, she's thinking, is this the time? Am I going to get pregnant? And that creates that, not being able to just be present, to receive, to relax. And I think that's so important. And there's a lot of women, I think, now who are experiencing issues around fertility, very successful, type A, powerful women. And then that's one thing you can't control suddenly, is that you can't just make yourself get pregnant. You can put a lot of things on your calendar, but that's one of the ones you won't be able, to control. And that has, I think, still a lot to do with the hormones and the balancing. So I talked to that woman. I said, first of all, dropping some of her shame around, she'd had cysts before, and I said, okay, so doing the jade egg exercise, I've had women who had problems with cysts that went away from doing that practice. Again, because they're bringing attention to that area in their body that was showing that dis-ease. And then the problem goes away. And I've had a lot of women who had a hard time getting pregnant, who were able to get pregnant, not by having to take hormones medically, but because their mind, body, spirit come into integration around their sexuality, their femininity, then suddenly that harmonizes, they're able to get pregnant.
It's so key. I just turned 40 a few weeks ago, and I love that really for the first time in my life, I'm feeling like, wow, I feel like confident in my body.
Wait. How old?
40.
Me too. I thought I would be dead by now. I'm not even kidding.
Wow. I know you can't imagine as a kid what the heck that's going to be like. And it's such a different world from when my mom was 40. The possibilities are so different.
Yeah.
And, but it's, as, watching my mom, reach retirement age, and, she was diagnosed with stage 4 liver cancer at the age of 66, and she was gone within 6 months. But I learned so much about aging in a short amount of time, watching her go through that and learn, how can I help her through this process? Well, one of the biggest health issues that we're going to face, all of us, if we're lucky enough to reach our late 60s, 70s, 80s, is living on our own and being independent and being strong in our own bodies.
Yeah.
And the one thing you can do now to to make that process easier and to stay healthier longer, so you can live on your own, take care of yourself, not go into a nursing home, not even get sick or fall over. I mean, falls are one of the biggest paths to go into the hospital across the board. People fall down, they get hurt. Knowing your body and being strong in your core and doing, just like core strength exercises, of which Jade Egg might be the best one.
I actually have 2 parts. The Jade Egg program, the 7-day program, comes with how to use the jade egg for the internal core vaginal muscles. But I also have a special band that it comes with for what I call a yoga core exercises, engaging your glutes, your hamstrings, because you need that external piece as well. And you're totally right. Like people are having so many problems that are fixable.
Yeah. And we think it's about doing crunches and having a flat ab. You know what? In 40 years, I'm not going to give a rat's ass about how many crunches I did. But I am going to be so grateful that I can get up off of my chair by myself. That is going to be what's important to me. It's the rest of my life.
Well, I want both. So
I want both.
When
too.
I'm 80, I better have that tight ass from all the work I've been putting in now. I have a friend. He's like, you're in a relationship. I'm single. I had a friend, and I had a moment about the aging thing, and I was like, oh God, like I'm turning 45, and he's a guy friend of mine. And he's like, so when you're 60, you'll have two 30-year-old lovers, and I was like, I probably will.
And I am okay with that.
It's going to take that much to keep up with me. Because I do not plan on getting less juicy. I'm going to get more juicy.
But there's so many women. I mean, I think the stats are incredible. The number of women 18 to 30 years old who are experiencing, a lack of desire, a distressing anxiety producing lack of desire, which has everything to do with our hormones, with our vaginal health, with how we eat, and with our relationship to desire. Yeah. So, are you taking antibiotics, antidepressants, and, birth control, hormonal birth control? Those three things are totally mucking up our hormones so that we have low testosterone, so that we can't be orgasmic. And our desire is just in the tank. It's just not there at all. And it's so hard to get it back when you continually eat the foods that keep your gut messed up and when your stress levels are high.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if you knew this part of my story, but 10 years ago, before I found yoga and tantra and owned my vagina in a healthy way, I had been on medication for depression, for anxiety, and I went on that medication, and I was, I went to a doctor. I was more than happy to do that. I was like, is that why I'm unhappy? Because if you've got a pill that's going to help me, I will take that pill. And so I started taking the medication, and I gained like 30 pounds. And I remember I would go into my doctor every week, and I'd be like, every week I'm putting on like 2 pounds, 3 pounds. And I was like, something's wrong. And he's like, go to the gym. And I'm like, I am going to the gym, but I'm also changed my appetite. I was like, it's not like normal willpower. I literally can't stop eating because obviously you're giving me powerful medication to change my brain chemistry, or you wouldn't be giving me a pill. But it's like when I tried to describe what it was doing to me, that there was just, I realized I'm talking to a doctor who's never had my problem. He doesn't live in my body. He doesn't live in my skin. So how can he possibly understand how distressing it is to be slowly gaining weight 2-3 pounds a week until it's 30 pounds and barely have any energy to get out of bed anymore? And so the medication that I got put on really didn't address my underlying issues. And it wasn't until I literally hit a rock bottom in an emergency room and realized, some voice in my head said, go do yoga. And that's where yoga really became the thing that glued everything together for me and helped me to, get over my issues around sexual abuse and start to really own my vagina, my sexual power in a good way, and start to live a life that I was excited about. But, I really, and that's not to shame anyone who is on medication. People who, if they're on medication, keep doing what you're doing. What I say is, like, just add the positive thing. So, like, in the beginning, I kept taking my medication, but I kept going to yoga every day. And what happened for me was over the course of a year, I tapered off the medication for depression and ended up just doing the yoga because it replaced the dopamine and the serotonin that I'd been lacking. Right. I would say like move towards the positive, and don't create more self-judgment about the medication. But really, there's just a lack of knowledge. People don't know.
Yeah. And that's a huge part of what I do in my cravings cleanse and my programs is I tell them, look, every diet you've ever done has failed you. You didn't fail them because first of all, they tell you to like go on a 21-day juice cleanse and then they don't help you on either side of that, right? My programs are 8 weeks. I'm like, 8 weeks is the minimum to get you into a new habit and help you through all the changes and then move out of a cleanse. But they also just take away. You can't just take away dairy and sugar and gluten and caffeine and not add in the other pieces, the mindset pieces and all the other pleasurable things that are going to give you the dopamine and the serotonin and all those happy neurotransmitters, right? Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, you've just got a huge lack.
Yeah.
in your life.
Well, or it's this endless process. Like when I was going to therapy to talk about what's wrong with me from my PTSD, and then I'm taking pills, and all I'm doing is like, I'm broken, I have problems. I'm broken, I have problems. And I didn't have any new positive energy. And meditation, yoga, fitness, working out, changing your diet, it's all those behavior modification that's going to change the chemistry and actual hormones of your body. And that's going to create the long-lasting happiness that we're looking for, whether that's around, sexuality, your, digestion, weight loss, romance and dating, whatever that is, it's gonna come from making those kinds of changes. And so the Jade A program, it's vagina yoga. That's what I call it, yoga for.
It's my favorite kind of yoga that I can do laying down.
Absolutely. And like I said, it takes that energy and moves it through all 7 development centers or chakras. So, I'm sure you know the chakra system, Alex, and it's, starting at our root chakra, looking at what things happened maybe in our childhood that affected our development, because when we've had certain experiences or traumas, we discontinue developing certain ways we need to, and we have missing links in our chain of the nervous system and the development. And then the second chakra is your sexual energy, your Shakti, your sensuality, and that's the powerhouse. That's your sexual power is your power for everything in your body. And the third chakra is about, having your core, your self-esteem, your ability to have a purposeful life and career. And then your heart, your ability to love and give and receive. Like I said, that one woman who's powerful in work, but had a hard time relaxing and receiving in bed. And then your voice, get to the fifth. Can you speak freely, or are you too ashamed and shut down?
That throat chakra.
All the time.
That throat chakra. I tell you.
I know. I got to say, I'm amazed. I'm like, man, I spend my whole life thinking. I say what the hell I want, and I still it's so hard as a woman. I don't know if you experience this, Alex, but sometimes I still will like clamp down and not say something obvious, or sometimes there's like a man who does something like that's really inappropriate, or saying something really sexual, or slightly belittling, and I just shut up. I get small in that moment and turn into that little girl, and then like an hour later I'm like, why did I do that? Why didn't I just say no? It's not okay.
Mm-hmm. It's very challenging. We're fighting against generations of that clamp down energy, that keep it small girl vibe. We really have to be brave, and we really have to surround ourselves with friends and community who are going to support us being strong and speaking out, and not calling us a bitch or a slut or annoying for it, which requires a little bit of seeking. They can find it in your community. They can find it in my community. And I loved you talking about the chakras. I use Ayurveda as one of the healing modalities to help people get more connected with their body. I rebranded the doshas as the cravings types.
Oh, I love it.
Instead of Vata, Pitta, Kapha, which to the American ear is like, what does that mean? I say featherweight, firebrand, earth mama. And you totally get what those 3 mean.
Right.
And I just created a real simple quiz, and this is one avenue to understand your body in a different way that's not about deprivation and counting calories.
Yeah. No, and I think just knowing what it is that you are is so helpful. Which one are you?
I'm firebrand, featherweight, or Vata Pitta.
I'm like, I got it done when I got my pulse of some old man in India on one of my trips, like seriously, like an old man with his shirt off, in the Swami diaper. Like not making fun. But anyway, it was one of those experiences. I'm like, wow, I really brought myself to that experience I imagined in my head. I'm sitting in front of this the old Swami reading my doshik. Yeah. But I was close to tridoshik, but I think I'm Pitta first, firebrand, and then the featherweight with the earth mama for me is my bones. But I guess my worst problems are the featherweight is the kind of ADD. I think
the airy, disconnected, and that's a real, it's a real danger, because that body type, that featherweight body type, is what's so emulated right now. It's that long, thin, skinny, but that body type naturally comes with kind of a disconnection from, your body. You're thinking, you're up here, you're scattered. And man, if I witness another of my beautiful yogi friends going on a 20-day juice cleanse, I'm like,
I
you
know.
cannot do this in the winter. You are vata, featherweight. You need grounding food, fat, protein. Please
Right.
eat something. Otherwise, they just get more off into their heads and out of their bodies. So we all need something different, and it can change throughout the year, change throughout our lives. And that's just what I try to help women do, is to get into that dance with their bodies so that they can feel what it is that they need now and trust and listen to their body and give it to them
And own their vaginas.
and own their vagina, no
Because
matter what type you are.
no matter what type you are, whether you're the featherweight, firebrand, earth mom overweight, all us women need to own our vaginas and make the
That's
world
right.
a much more orgasmic place.
Yeah.
Abso-freaking-lutely, right? um, all right. Well, thank you so much, Alex, for joining me, and I love that quiz. Now, where can we find more information about
Mm.
you?
So you can take the cravings quiz at cravingsquiz.com. Take you 2 minutes. You get a great report that tells you all about your type and what you can start doing to eat and move to feel better. Or you can go to womenfoodanddesire.com and get the book and check it out.
Okay, and I'm gonna gift you my 7-day, 7 chakras, goddess women sexuality program. I think you'll love it. It's all activating your vajayjay power, your
Awesome.
shakti, and then moving it through all 7 developmental centers or chakras. And like I said, whether you're in a relationship and you want to start juicing it up and having more sex, or I just recently, I've declared a 30-day no dick diet myself. So I'm going to do my own 7-day again, just to work that energy through all my centers and chakras and get a fresh start.
That's great. We all need a cleanse of some sort at some
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
It's all good.
It's not a juice cleanse. Don't be
No.
mad at me, Alex. It's not a green juice cleanse. It's a no dick diet cleanse. I need to get some new dick in my life.
Okay. Both appropriate at different times for different people.
Absolutely. And now that I've announced it publicly, I have to
You have
behave
to.
and keep it. It's amazing. I'll say, when you go on a purposeful, kind of celibacy, it doesn't mean cutting off the sexual energy. Like you were saying, you went through a breakup and you realized there were cobwebs growing on your vibrator. There might be cobwebs in your vagina for some women. It's actually holding all that juice for yourself. And that's why, if you are in that period, still doing the jade egg, still keeping all that juicy, sexy energy going on, but just giving it better direction for your life. So it doesn't mean having sex. It just means being in touch with your sexual energy and power.
Yeah. Beautiful.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And I can't wait till the next time we get to talk about, dicks, donuts.
And doshas.
And doshas.
Dicks, donuts, and doshas.
Donuts and doshas.
.com.
Till next time. .com. Till next time. All right. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.